What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Michigan Recruiting Report here exclusively on our YouTube channel. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for free. Get updates every time we drop new videos for the latest on Michigan recruiting, as well as the team, basketball, and so much more. And also subscribe to the Wolverine.com today for just $1 for 2 months exclusively for our YouTube viewers. Just use the code UM1. That's $1 for 2 months for insider access over at the Wolverine.com. If you enjoy what you see on the YouTube channel, you can get even more on the website at the Wolverine.com. All right, today we're going to be breaking down 5 key recruits that Michigan leads for on the On3 recruiting prediction machine. So these guys could be potential commits. Obviously, the Wolverines ended an almost 4-month commitment drought by landing top 100 edge Nate Marshall this week, so they'll look to add some more. And here's some guys that Michigan leads for according to the On3 RPM, which is an algorithm that factors in predictions and visits and all types of stuff that AI does that we mere mortals do not necessarily understand. But let's go ahead and start with top 100 wide receiver Quincy Porter out of Bergen Catholic in New Jersey. Quincy Porter has long been my favorite wide receiver target on the board. Michigan has a 24.3% chance of landing him. According to the On3 recruiting prediction machine, he visited last year for the barbecue at the Big House, returned this spring, had a great visit, had a chance to meet with new head coach Sherrone and wide receivers coach Ron Bellamy. And both of those guys have done a fantastic job of recruiting him, as has area recruiter Grant Newsome. You know, Michigan is in desperate need of a big-bodied wide receiver this cycle, and Quincy Porter is that at 6'3", 190. He's a mismatch in the red zone, but he's also a guy that can stretch the field and rack up a ton of yards after catch. I've likened him to Terrell Owens in the past. He's an extremely exciting player. The On3 recruiting prediction machine gives the slight lead to Michigan. I think it's a Michigan-Ohio State battle with Penn State up there as well, and a few others lingering around. So we'll see if Michigan can seal the deal on official visits. I think that will determine his recruitment, as Porter wants to make a decision a little later in the summer. All right, next up on the list is another wide receiver, and this time it's from my home state of Texas. It is Taz Williams, 4-star pass catcher that just visited Michigan this spring. So Williams made his first visit last offseason, returned this spring. You see Michigan has a 67.5% chance of landing him on the On3 recruiting prediction machine. SMU and Texas A&M are next up on the list, and those two programs are definitely fighting hard to keep him closer to home, and they have official visits scheduled with him, as does Michigan. Michigan will look to try to seal the deal on his OV, but the spring visit went extremely well. Williams has a special connection with Ron Bellamy. In fact, Bellamy actually played in the NFL and in the NFL Europe with Williams's mentor and private wide receiver trainer Margin Hooks. So again, that connection is going a long way. Williams also is not a native Texan. He's originally from Pennsylvania and grew up as part of the same training program as Michigan's signee Cole Sullivan. So those two guys know each other and are familiar with each other. And on top of that, another connection here is Taz Williams played against Michigan quarterback Alex Orji in high school, and they're friends, and Orji has been recruiting him hard to Michigan as well. So I still like where Michigan stands here. They're going to have to fight off, some of the local schools in Texas, but a lot of connections here helping the Wolverines. Next up on the list is priority offensive line target Avery Gash, an in-state recruit out of Birmingham Groves, 4-star prospect. Everybody should be familiar with Avery Gash. We talk about him a ton. He's the big fish in state for Michigan. And the Wolverines have made him a top priority on a really talented offensive line board. Michigan holds a lead on the On3 recruiting prediction machine with a 94.4% chance of landing him. Gash is set to make his decision on May 3rd. The percentage is super high because there are a lot of predictions in for Gash to land at Michigan, including one from me. I put one in back in November and still feel super confident. Michigan State, Ohio State, and Wisconsin are the other finalists in this recruitment, but not really worried about any of them. Gash is a Michigan State legacy, but I think Michigan obviously offers a lot more on and off the field, especially for offensive linemen. And He's visited 3 times this spring, including one for the spring game this past weekend, and had another great time, as a great bond with Sherrone Moore, who was his lead recruiter before he was promoted to head coach. So everything just makes sense. He is listed as an interior offensive lineman, which is where I see him at. I think he's a guard all the way. I think he would be a great addition for the Wolverines. Next up on the list, we're heading over to the defensive side of the ball. And Michigan obviously just landed an edge from Chicagoland and Nate Marshall. They'll look to do the same with Jaylen Williams. Williams, a fellow 4-star Chicagoland pass rusher. Actually, him and Nate Marshall are really good friends. Michigan has the heavy lead on the On3 recruiting prediction machine with a 95.4% chance of landing him. So he's a top 300 guy on the industry ranking. He's listed as a defensive lineman, but Michigan recruiting him as more of an edge. I saw him in game in the fall, and I thought he was more impressive than Marshall. There's a lot to like about Jaylen Williams. He was close to former defensive line coaches Mike Elston and Greg Scruggs. So I think with Williams, it's all about developing a relationship with new defensive line coach Lou Esposito, and the Wolverines have to get him back on campus as well. He did not visit this spring. So it'd be nice to see Michigan get him back on campus to continue to build momentum, but Michigan's still in a really good spot for Jaylen Williams, who I think is one of the more underrated prospects on Michigan's board. Next on the list, sticking on the defensive side of the ball, and last prospect we'll talk about is a name that Michigan fans might not be too familiar with, and that is Chase Taylor, linebacker out of Georgia. Now, Chase Taylor is a 3-star prospect. Like I said, there hasn't been a ton of buzz about him, but Michigan has the lead on the On3 recruiting prediction machine with a 48.2% chance of landing him. I have not put in a prediction yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does end up in the class. As you can see, he is a 3-star across the board, but Michigan values him as much more than that. He's a really interesting athlete at about 6'3", 200 pounds. They loved him on the visit this spring. He had a really good time with the staff. He's already set to come back for an official visit in June, and the Wolverines will look to close their new Michigan linebackers coach, Brian Jean Mary, has really strong ties in Georgia and has had success there at his previous stops, and he's connected well with Taylor. So he's definitely one to know on the linebacker board. All right, guys, that's 5 key recruits that Michigan is leading for, according to the On3 recruiting prediction machine. For more Michigan recruiting coverage and intel, head over to thewolverine.com. Exclusive offer for our YouTube members. Sign up for $1 for 2 months, and also like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel for free.